Hello, and welcome back to Fantasy Turf War, the ultimate showdown where 64 teams battle head to head for fantasy football glory. This is episode 39, and I'm your host, Lauren, and with me are resident experts Matt, Ane, and Cory Bassett. Matt, will you introduce yourself?
Waiting to come on screen. But hey, guys, from the background, Phantom of the Opera, pull the clerk, whatever it's called, the screen behind. How you doing? It's been a long day with two children, but yeah. Anyway, I'm Matt. I'm gonna be your stat guy, and yeah, it's gonna be a great show.
And we can't forget Mr. Commissioner Cory.
Mr. Commissioner Cory. Wow, I got a Mr. now. No, what's up, guys? I'm pushing buttons in the back, but should be a good show tonight. So let's get it.
Awesome. Okay. Thanks, guys. So now before we get started, Fantasy Turf War is something totally new, and we need your help. No one's ever done a 64-team league like this on YouTube before, so if you think that that's interesting, please subscribe to our channel and beat the living crap out of the notification bell. Your support is crucial to keeping the lights on, and it means the world to us. Plus, we're getting dangerously close to 100 subscribers, and you don't want to miss out on winning the first contest, let alone Cory hasn't told us what the first contest is, so
Or what they're gonna win.
Learn that is. Yeah, exactly. Can we win? So, Cory, it's been a busy week for you, so catch us up on everything that's been going on in the league.
Yeah, it's been a very busy week. So since we last spoke, we've had, two fantasy football drafts. Division 4 and then Division 2 both drafted last night. Sunday night. My days will blur together. Division 1 was kind of our guinea pigs, and so learned a lot that day, but actually, yeah, so let's backtrack a little bit. So we did Division 1's draft. They're done. They had about a 3.5 hour endeavor, which was entertaining until the last hour and a half. But it was fun, and everyone was a good sport about it, and I think everyone had a good time. And then we drafted Division 4, then Division 2 on Sunday night. All those are on the stream, but it's been good. Some interesting picks, and I would say a couple mistakes and a couple of I wouldn't have done that. But yeah, overall I think it was pretty good. Yeah, it's a good time. I lost my show notes, so now I'm trying to figure out what I've got to say.
Oh boy.
I blame Matt.
It's fine. Just roll that bus over, back and forth again.
I had a whole bunch of stuff to cover, and then I forgot it. So there's that.
He does. He simply does have a...
Can one of you two just email it back to me real quick?
Oh, yeah.
Look, it's been a long week. I've had to draft 3 times.
Oh boy. Where'd it go? Sorry, I don't keep it up.
No, I got it.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Well, we just... You could have so easily gone
Look,
to
this
your
is the
sent
benefit. This is.
emails, but...
It's not. Well, because I shared the document and I didn't send it. So.
Oh, okay.
The creator has lost his way.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. It's been a day. It's been a couple days.
I hear.
Oh, look, I have my show notes. I miraculously found them. Oh, yeah, so we're talking about draft methods. All right, cool. So now we're back down script. So for the divisions, everyone had a randomized draft method. It's always entertaining, and even I randomize it for myself, so I get a little bit surprised as to like who has to do what. So because of time constraints, Division 1 did the 40-yard rush again, so it was kind of just a randomized sprint. But Division 2 had a NASCAR race, and so they had to get randomly assigned to a NASCAR driver, and then depending on how they finished is how your draft order took place. And so it went to an extra... say into extra innings, NASCAR terms, and it got rained out on Sunday, so we didn't actually know the draft results until Monday afternoon. So it was a little bit entertaining there, and it's kind of a wild finish because I think there were a bunch of accidents right at the end too. Lauren was the benefactor of that draft method. Her driver didn't finish the race, and then Matt for Division 4.
Falcons.
Ouch. Well, they get to the end of the race, and then they get to the fourth. Never mind. So Matt, your division had baseball as your draft determination method. So you guys were randomly paired up with teams in the MLB that were playing Thursday and Friday of last week, and then you guys took a combined score of those teams, and then the tiebreaker there was total hits in the game, in both games combined, and that's how you guys determined your draft order. So you turned into a Blue Jays fan for the weekend.
Never.
And I say that because like you're the baseball guy, so it makes sense. And I don't know if you like NASCAR or not, Lauren. Sorry, but let's just say you do for my purposes of my joke.
I mess with it.
But you guys got a peek behind the curtain because Division 3, which drafts on Thursday, is actually taking a civics test as their draft method, and at least 75% of them are being recorded on video. So when that video comes out, I think you guys are going to love that one. I'll say right now, the maximum score you can get is 60 points, and I think the average score right now is like 58%. So it's been fun. It's not that hard. I mean, it's a little. I'm a bit biased, right? But it'll be fun. Okay, cool. So that clears that. Just a reminder, all of our content is now up on Apple Music, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. So make sure you're subscribed and download there. So you can take us with you if you are not able to watch live or on YouTube, wherever you go. It's already up to date, and then this episode will be there tomorrow morning. It just takes a little time to upload. And I have one update before I get to this little wrap here. So we have, fantasy football is notorious for people dropping out or staying in, and not playing or, whatever it is. And so we understand that, we started this endeavor back in February, the Super Bowl. And so inevitably we knew we were going to lose some folks and we were going to have to make some quick adjustments and pivots, and that's expected. It happens. People have things that come up. They just don't feel it, whatever it may be. So we've had a total of 5 teams drop. One has dropped in the last day. We have replaced, I'll say we've replaced all of the teams except for Division 3 is still missing one, but we're going to round that corner today. We have the way ahead. Someone's already lined up for it. We just have to get them set up. But the one that happened this morning is a little bit of an interesting pivot because they've already drafted. And so there's not a tremendous upside to playing fantasy football for a team that's already been drafted and already been put into a division, and you're kind of playing with the deck stacked against you, right? So there's not a lot of incentive unless someone just wanted to play for the sake of playing. So to keep it entertaining, we have found a new solution, and the team will remain the same, exactly how it was drafted, and in the same division it was drafted for. And instead of finding world-renowned experts, fantasy enthusiasts, football aficionados, I've gone the exact opposite way. If you know me, and you know my son, he is not sports inclined whatsoever. He's also in 5th grade. And so what we're going to do is we're going to have my 5th grader manage a team with exactly 0 knowledge. He's been to one NFL game, and that might be the only thing he's ever watched NFL-wise. So his team name is now called Are You Smarter Than a 5th Grader? And so you're going to have to beat a 5th grader who literally knows nothing about football in that division. So don't lose. I won't help him.
Yeah, I now just want to say I do no longer care about winning. Matt, I no longer care about you winning. Cory's son has to win this entire thing.
Yeah, so
he was also sending me terrible trades. So yes.
Yeah. So 1, he's never played fantasy football. 2, he probably has no idea what it is. 3, he just found out this 4 hours ago that he's doing it because I decided for him. And so, so it'll be interesting to see. You are literally playing a guy who has no idea what football really is, how people put points on the board. He'll probably ask you when the 7th inning stretch is. Nope, that was my wife. Yeah, so
Oh,
it'll be interesting, and he also has no idea how to navigate the platform. So there's that too, right? So like there's the technology aspect as well. He's a computer geek, but
same.
Yeah, honestly, me too.
so it'll be interesting. You are literally going to have to beat a fifth grader, which is, you know, entertaining. But if he beats you, then it's even more entertaining. So have fun, Division Two. But this way, we don't have to worry about someone setting a lineup every week. Like put him in charge of the team. It's a fifth grader. You win, it's expected. You lose, you're going to hear it, and then just kind of avoid the whole disaster of trying to hand off a team that's already been drafted to somebody. So it's a fun way to do it. It's a good little pivot. It was not my idea. It was given to me. So credit to them. But it'll be entertaining. Yeah. So have that. We have our Division Three draft on Thursday, and then kind of just echoing off of what Lauren said, we're really hitting our stride, and we're trying to get the word out as much as possible. We have, we've done a lot to get ourselves set up, and this is kind of the point where we start to grow. And the more engagement we have, the more content that gets shared, the more platforms open up and access. So once we hit a certain amount of subscribers, 100 subscribers. We can actually start multi-streaming to different platforms like Facebook, LinkedIn, so that'll be cool. So we can get you guys where you're at. All we ask, is that you hit the share button, subscribe, and bring one friend back with you next time. It costs absolutely nothing, and if you like what we're doing, take 15 seconds, do all those things real quick, and then we'll keep you the lights on, and we'll keep going. But with that, back to you, Lauren.
All right. So now in the past few weeks, my bad, we've been sharing that we have crossed 800 and then 900 views. We now realize that these are rookie numbers, and we've now crossed 2,000 views, and one of our videos is about to hit 1,000 views just on its own. So round of applause for our own.
Matt didn't know that. He doesn't watch the show.
No, I'm on it.
Yes,
but this is.
Yeah.
Oh,
go ahead.
Oh yeah, go.
I was gonna say one of our shows, as of, I'll pull it up here in a second, but one of our shows is about to cross 1,000 views just on its own. Ironically, it's the one that we did back to back, and we were all extremely tired and did that second episode. That's the one.
Very cool.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, all of these views are thanks to y'all, so thank you so much. And with that, we're gonna get into this episode's meat, I guess, if you will. With that, Matt, if you wanna get into start our sleepers list.
Oh yeah. So let me preface what a sleeper is before we get started, because everybody's like, "Oh, he's not a sleeper. Everybody knows about him. Everybody's talking about him." That's not the point. What makes them a sleeper is where they're going in a draft, and what exactly equivalates to being a sleeper, right? So somebody that you don't have too much of an expectation for either. They have a lower ADP, and yes, there's some upside to them. So that's what these guys are. It's only about 3 of them that we're gonna be talking about here. And I'm going to start with one that's probably the most obvious, and that's Keon Coleman of the Buffalo Bills. Keon Coleman is a big-bodied man who honestly had a pretty good, college career, I would say, right? Like it's not like something that's going to blow me away, but he is the number 1 de facto receiver for Josh Allen. And Josh Allen has literally nobody to throw to but Dalton Kincaid. So why not throw to Keon Coleman, and why can't he be successful? I have my doubts about the guy, but the opportunity outweighs what his draft cost is, essentially, right? So he's going at a very low ADP, and he is going off the board, I think, at wide receiver 42 or 46, something along the lines of that. And that's great. Now, where's my downsides for him is, because again, this is kind of like a ceiling floor play. It's kind of more of a basement play. Is he played for Florida State, and that was where he was most successful. He wasn't able to get on the field for Michigan State in 2023, had to transfer. And he only managed to get about 50 receptions and 658 yards with 11 touchdowns. I like the tutty number, but I didn't like the receiving numbers, so the reception yards. So essentially, when it comes to him, there is obviously not even a floor. There's a basement, like I was saying. So comes with a lot of risk, but at the same time, he doesn't cost anything. So that's what puts him in the keeper category. So I'm drafting him if I can. A lot of people are on top of him because he's a well-known sleeper across multiple fantasy football platforms and podcasts and the fantasy community as a whole. But it's not like his ADP is climbing, so he's at a decent price. It's just a matter of when you want to select him, and he won't be a bad pick, and he also won't be a guy you'll feel guilty about cutting after week one either.
Yeah, Lauren, you got notes on him?
I agree. I like the stats that Matt threw out there. I think that Keon was a really big um, being on social media when he got drafted. So I think that just like for my own side aspect of it, I think he's literally a dream for a media team because he's who he is. Um, but other than that, obviously, a lot of sleepers generally are rookies, and a good amount of these are rookies that we'll talk about. So I don't have a whole lot of like background information and confidence in what he's done previously. Um, but I think is exciting, especially in the league that we're playing here with needing at least 3 wide receivers. I definitely think he's up there for good choices, and I wouldn't be upset if I had him on my team.
Yeah. So the idea with sleeper is upside. If they had inherent value, they would not be sleepers. So you have to look at the upside. And so, like Matt was saying, Kincaid's your number one, your clear number one there with Josh Allen, and as a tight end. And then if you have a receiver, someone's got to get the ball, right. It can't be Kincaid all the time, and it can't be Josh Allen all the time. So someone else has to eat over there. And I think you're taking a good guess that it's going to be Coleman. If not, start to look at the backups. But also insurance-wise, if something were to happen to Kincaid, I think his value goes up tremendously, and that's not a terrible. Well, it's a terrible thing to ask for, but it's not a unrealistic thing to happen in the year that a tight end goes down for a couple weeks. So yeah, I definitely agree that he is a sleeper pick, and I would pick him up for sure.
Yeah, because I mean, you also got to look at it too. And sorry, now I can get my head wrapped around things. I'm in football mode now. It's vacated targets too. Like Gabe Davis left, Stephon Diggs left. Like there's over 200 vacated targets, so it's got to go somewhere. And obviously, Cook is going to eat up some of that too because he does receive like a monster, but still, I mean, Cook isn't going to get 100 and change targets. Like that'd be absolutely ridiculous. That'd be Christian McCaffrey level. So Coleman should be a product of volume, and all he has to do is come down with 70%. If he gets 150 targets, 70% of that is about 85 targets. My math is probably a little bit off, give or take 5. And you know that's a really good season on 85 to 90 receptions or 80 receptions. Like that's a great season. Hopefully, comes down with at least 6 touchdowns and has 1,100 yards. That's a wide receiver, 25, I think, at that point. So
Yeah.
I'm pretty good with that number. So there's a good chance that he could just be volume to death and just be thrusted into fantasy success. So that's why he's essentially a sleeper. This next guy, though, Brian Thomas of the Jacksonville Jaguars, I actually am a big fan of. I think that he's going to be awesome in all regards. For starters, there's not much competition there if you really look at the depth chart, and he's also just awesome. I'm gonna break down who's on the depth chart, just swinging next to him. So Gabe Davis couldn't really cut it in Buffalo with the best quarterback in football, and kind of likes to disappear. He's always a darling, but never and always a bridesmaid, but never a bride when it came to scoring touchdowns and things like that. He just could never be the one. Christian Kirk had a really good season in short yards and things like that, and kind of made some outside work too. But Brian Thomas was drafted to be the dude, and I like his college stats a lot too. Dude's massive. Played for LSU, right on the other side of Neighbors. 68 receptions, 1,177 receiving yards. Average depth of target is 17.3 yards and per reception, and then had 17 touchdowns in that time frame. He is an absolute bona fide stud. I am a huge fan of him at 6'5", 198 pounds, I might add. He's huge. He's going to come down with everything, the 50-50 balls, everything under the sun. And as long as Trevor Lawrence even shows, 3/4 competency, this dude is going to be a serious threat. There is already talk about him around camp, that he is him, he's ready to go. Hearing Calvin Johnson comps and things like that. Now that's a little extreme for me, but to hear that he is already getting put in the same category as these guys, it's super exciting. I cannot wait to see what this kid does this season.
Lots of good graces there. I would say the same thing. I think that a majority of players that come out of LSU are people to watch and athletes to watch. And I think his, like you said, his stats coming out of LSU were insane. And again, like you mentioned, Matthew just has all of my notes. There's not a lot of stars in general, just on the Jacksonville Jaguars offense currently. And there was a lot of excitement supposedly between Thomas and Trevor Lawrence through training camp. So I see nothing but good things. And yeah.
Yeah, Jags are not a team that I've been able to watch too much of in the preseason, but I did hear the reports that they have kind of a natural chemistry, and I know Thomas is a little bit more of a deep threat, so it'd be interesting to see if Trevor can kind of get something going. Yeah, I think it's all good points, and again, it's upside. So if that relationship pays off, then you're talking dividends on the back end. So
yeah, no, I mean absolutely, and I mean the price is right too for him in terms of pulling up his ADP now. If only it would work. 117 overall in ADP. It is absolutely fantastic. I would be drafting him everywhere. That's like your first bench player in a 12-man league. So all about Brian Thomas. Literally draft him everywhere. Our next guy here. This one is super deep. And I preface this isn't a homer pick for me, I promise. But we all can't forget about Mr. Wan'Dale Robinson of the New York Giants. So not only does the Malik Neighbors can not catch 200 receptions or even get 200 targets this season, even though I'd love to see that happen, it has to go somewhere else at some point. And Wan'Dale Robinson, I believe, has the ability to do so. He was fantastic in short stints before he hurt himself, obviously. And, I think has the ability to be a super wide receiver as well, kind of a slot guy. Malik Neighbors now is going to open up the downfield threat. Wan'Dale Robinson should be able to come in under and the under and get the short yardage and also kind of break out to the side. He's a smaller receiver. I think is going to be super successful. He's really shifty, and he's a lot better than Kadarius Toney too because his yards after catch is significantly better than Toney, and he's just a guy that refuses to go down. He's a baller, and you hear about how Dable talks about him, how the dude is just a gamer and he just loves to go and he's a dog. Everything he said about Malik Neighbors is the same thing he said about Wan'Dale Robinson. It's going to be great. He's going up the board at 224, literally free 99. He's at the end of your draft. He's literally more than a sleeper. He's a scratch off kind of type guy, a guy that you're going to get your answer after week one. And if he does not perform, you drop him like he's hot. But if he does, he's going to be the sneakiest pick because I guarantee you're already going to have him on your team, and he would have been the go-to player, like top 3 guy you're trying to get off waivers. And first week of waivers is usually those pickups usually the ones that help you win your league. Last year it was Kyron Williams and Puka Nacua. I'm not saying this is going to be Wan'Dale Robinson, but there's a chance he could be.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I like how you with where he's going in the drafts, you kind of made it a point that like this is probably your last pick kind of Hail Mary kind of guy. So I agree. I would, the way I draft it, I probably would have already had my defense and kicker by this point with most formats until a point where it's like he could pay off really well, and you'll know probably by the first couple weeks. I try not to drop people before week 3, but give him some time, and I think you'll see one way or the other. But it's definitely one of those picks where if it could go off, I think it would be him.
I'm just still overthinking Matt saying drop him like it's hot, so sorry. I'm still thinking about that. I don't have too many things to say about Wan'Dale. That won't offend Matt.
I go for it. I don't care.
Well, okay, I don't have a lot of opinions about Wan'Dale in general, but the New York Giants are just a different thing. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, they suck.
I thought that was intentional. Him doing that. Okay, cool. No, I literally just have 5'8" at wide receiver is crazy, and that's literally all. I don't have a whole lot. I will say that the last two drafts that I've done, so this one and then my family's league, he has been one of those last kind of wide receivers in the last slot there that you're kind of like, do I want him? Do I not want him? So I don't have him on either of my teams, but I hope he does well for the people that do.
Yeah, I mean, again, like he's straight up just like a flyer at this point, right? Like you just gotta take a shot at the end of the draft. Who's going to be the guy that's going to be the one that's going to be worth keeping on the team at the end of the day? So that's what Wandale Robinson is at the end is for me at least. Can he can he produce at enough to be contributing week in and week out, or at least be able to help me on the bye weeks and possibly when I have injuries and things like that. And you know, things can get real fun real quick if you really start looking at things. But all right, I think we spent enough time on him and the terrible, terrible Giants that I call my Giants and my team. Um, let's talk about Jaden Reed of the Green Bay Packers. I love this guy, truthfully. Rookie season last year was really good. Finished as a wide receiver 23. Played 16 games, had 185.2 points in half point PPR, had 94 targets last year, 64 receptions, 793 yards. He had 8 touchdowns to boot. And funny enough, he had 11 rushing attempts, which is pretty nice, and 2 rushing touchdowns. So interesting. I like that. It's almost like a Debo Samuel type thing. I just need a little bit more out of that, but is what it is. But I'm here for the receptions. I think that year 2 is going to be a serious step forward. Yes, you have Christian Watson, you have um, Dobbs on that team, but you know Watson has his own role carved out. There still has to be a second wide receiver, and with the breakout of Jordan Love, I think that he's going to be able to support more than one wide receiver that's going to be able to produce for fantasy. So I look at this with Jaden Reed. He has all the potential in the world to just be successful based off of just year 1 and the year 2, especially for wide receivers when they perform to this level. The sophomore year is usually even better. They build upon that and kind of go off. 2, the talent. Um, he has great speed, great hands, everything. I just like to see him catch a little bit more balls and get that reception rate up a little bit. And he's 5'11", 187 pounds, like the perfect small-ish but tall, average size receiver that I think can seriously do some damage. I think that he's going to be fantastic. Jaden Reed honestly should be drafted everywhere, and his ADP isn't atrocious either. He's coming off the board at pick 84 overall, wide receiver 36. So in your 2 receiver, 2 running back, and 1 flex leagues, he's either your flex or he's your first bench player, depending on how you draft. And either way, you cannot go wrong with that. And even in 3 wide receiver sets, Jaden Reed is a fantastic, fantastic wide receiver 3 at that point. It's like, okay, I'll ask you guys, if you guys want to come on camera, who are we drafting, Chris Godwin or Jaden Reed?
Wait, Cory,
I'm
you're
asking.
muted.
Am I still muted?
No, you're good.
So I
Wait.
think at this point, Jane Reed for a couple of reasons. One, I think he beats Godwin outright in terms of point value. But 2, I think we're good to segue into some pertinent news for Jaden Reed that they just lost their running back for the entire season. So AJ Dillon is out, and so that means Josh Jacobs is going to step in. And being the former Raider that he is, I don't think it's good to defend him any longer. So I don't think he's going to fill the gap very well, and so that means someone else has got to eat. And I think that's where Jaden Reed comes in and fills in a little bit more. So maybe they go a little bit more on the passing game, just because I don't think Josh Jacobs fits the need of the game, and it might be something game script wise where they have to go that way. So that is a huge increase in all value of Packers, I think, at this point, except for maybe like Romeo Dobbs, because I don't know if he was really part of the conversation still at that point, unless you're in deeper leagues.
I have literally the exact same thought. Although I'm hoping that Josh Jacobs has a good time. You're a hater.
What, did you draft
Just like
him?
I don't think he's gonna do. No, I did not because he's giving me I have PTSD from him. But other than that, I hope he does well. You're just pooping on his own parade over there.
Well,
Anyway,
I say it only because when he was in Las Vegas, he didn't do well when like the entire workload was put on his shoulders, and so I don't
yeah,
see him being a dominant single running back. I thought he would have done well with some help with AJ Dillon, and now having kind of all the running game on his shoulders, I don't see it. I mean, I hope I'm wrong as a former Raider, but yeah, I don't know.
no, it's fair. It's a fair claim. But no, I do think so, and I think what Matt was talking about of having like the, I guess, sophomore like breakout year. I think obviously you can predict as much as you want to predict, and you can predict the pieces are going to go right here and or not or whatever. But I do think that the Packers have been building to have a really good year for a while now. And like Matt said, with not the overhyping, but just the in general hype of Jordan Love and how he has really found himself in Green Bay, I think that yeah, Jaden Reed is the choice there.
Yeah, I'm going to circle back to Jaden Reed. I just want to comment on the news. So AJ Dillon honestly was already slotted in as running back 3. Marshawn Lloyd, the rookie running back that was drafted this year, was slotted in as 2. Also,
Okay.
the way LaFleur runs his offense, he usually runs it with a two, like a pretty much a committee. It'll be 60-40, but he won't get a full workload workhorse back. So Lloyd will supplant and probably take the reception roles that um, Aaron Jones pretty much had, and then Jacobs will get the predominant everything else and still get some receptions as well. I think Jacobs is going to be just fine. I think that he just came in eating too many Big Macs in the last season because he was trying to get a contract last year and didn't do preseason at all. So the Big Macs caught up to him. So,
Fair point.
I think
It's probably
there's
cheese.
good. Yeah, without a doubt. The little whiz cheese, too many cheesesteaks if he was hanging out in Philly. But, ultimately, I think he's going to have a good season. I think he's ready to go and redeem himself. And, honestly, there's no guarantee for next year either. So if he flops, he actually can get cut. The cap hit is almost minimal where they won't care and they'll just move on with Lloyd. So he's pretty much playing for a paycheck for next year. So I think this is do or die. So this is probably the year to say he's probably going to be decent. I think it's about 240 carries this year, which isn't going to be atrocious. But
Valid points.
I have another question for you guys now. Jaden Reed or Keenan Allen?
I'll probably stick with Jaden.
Okay. Jaden Reed or Christian Kirk?
Probably Kirk.
I would go. Oh.
Interesting.
I was gonna say Jaden. I've also been burnt out by Christian Kirk, so
Yeah.
Fair enough. And then Jaden Reed or Terry McLaurin?
I'll go Reed.
Okay.
I feel like I feel like I would have to do some stat checks there to affirm that decision, but I feel like Reed.
Right. So all these guys I just named are going earlier than Jaden Reed.
Okay.
So the only guy that's like directly ahead of him that's even like kind of like for me that would be either him or Calvin Ridley. And I find myself liking Jaden Reed better because of the quarterback situation versus the Will Levis situation there. So I still am leaning Jaden Reed in those regards as well. But yeah, that's essentially where I'm at. But I think we've spent enough time on the Green Bay Packers as a whole.
Agreed.
Let's talk about an awesome rookie quarterback, Jaden Daniels. He is somebody that really is interesting. He runs like RG3 and is on the same team and gives a lot of PTSD. But if we all remember RG3 when he was healthy and didn't decide to die of a concussion, he was really good. So I look at it and I go, Jaden Daniels not only mixed in with to be in a position of success where he has a really good wide receiver, one as in Terry McLaurin, but also two has Cliff Kingsbury as a coach, and I'm seeing a lot of comparisons between him and Kyler Murray his rookie season, where Kyler Murray went off and really, really, really just went ham. And I think that it was pretty much when when Murray got drafted, it was him and Hopkins, and that was nobody else. So for this, it's going to be Jaden Daniels, and Terry McLaurin. So all the targets are just going to be fluttered down Terry McLaurin's way, and they're going to get some job done. He's probably going to rush for about like 700 and change yards. He's probably going to have a boatload of rushing touchdowns because it's going to be tough to get the ball done through the air, and still manage to put up about 17 to 22 passing touchdowns. I'm all about um this dude. Like, I think he's going to be fantastic. I am ranked in my top 10 for quarterbacks this year. I am super excited to draft him. I think that the team is going to be good. I wish they didn't trade Dotson, but at the same time, I think that Jaden Reed is going to have a fantastic rookie campaign and be a really good quarterback moving forward as long as he can stay healthy.
Just to correct you, you meant Jaden Daniels, right?
Thank you. It's the Jaden corner in breakouts.
It is Jaden.
Mhm.
My only thing to say is obviously we don't have a lot to base it off of, but based on college stuff, Jaden Daniels loves to run, so I think he would be a fabulous quarterback option to have on your fantasy team. If not, I mean, me personally, I would do QB2, just because I don't love to trust a rookie quarterback, in my own personal opinion, with not a lot of experience behind his belt or on his belt. Um, I, I don't know if it's also, this may just be personal opinion. I don't know if it's just me, but I tend to draft players from teams that are active, I guess. So I don't like to have like, I mean, I don't want to say never because it happens, but like I won't really go out of my way to get like a Saints player, or I'm not going to go out of my way to get a Giants player. So sorry. Or like specific teams I'm just not super excited about, and the Commanders are one of those teams. Not saying obviously there are good players on all of these teams, but I tend to follow that pattern. And that's just a note that I wrote down of like, I think he'd be a great QB2, but other than that,
Yeah,
Fair enough.
I think my comments are pretty much summed up with it's a Washington quarterback, and I'm gonna let that one just sit there and wait for a minute, and I'll be a day late. That's fine with me. I also I was looking at the front line. There might be some issues there on whether or not they can give him time in the pocket and that kind of thing. So I'd be concerned. But historically speaking, I haven't had good luck with Washington quarterbacks, so I'm gonna let that one sit. But
Yeah.
but I think he's got some God given talent, and he works really hard. All the reports I saw out of training camp and preseason, he works his butt off. So I think he's definitely earned the right to be in that spot, and he's going to work his butt off at it. I just a little jaded with the success of Washington lately, last decade.
Yeah, I mean, as long as they're not the Cowboys, I'll root for them. So, essentially that's where I'm at. But no, I mean, look, it's not like it's like I'm not trying to do like a very like pretty picture of what it is. It's going to be a tough road. I mean, they have by PFFF standings, their offensive line is ranked 27th. So it's not like it's a great offensive line situation. But the thing is, him being a mobile quarterback, him also having Austin Eckler and Brian Robinson back there, which I think Austin Eckler is going to have a bigger role than everybody's expecting. It's going to free up some things because what's the worst that's going to happen? He's going to dump off the ball across the field to either one of these receivers, running backs that can catch the ball and get short yardage and create the first down opportunity and more. They both are explosive and get things done. Plus, you have Terry McLaurin down the field, and all he has to do is extend the play just a bit, and things start breaking down, and boom, there we go. It's the key to success. You look at other teams that have had rushing quarterbacks and that did not have an offensive line. Kyler Murray specifically also did not have a good offensive line his rookie year, and that Cliff Kingsbury offense keeps things moving. So I think that there's a serious room for a big season for him. If you guys have nothing else left to talk about on him, I'm going to move on to our busts, and I got some controversial ones.
Let's see. I think we had a disagreement just putting our thumbnail together. So take it away, man.
We did. So I'm going to save that one for. Actually, you know what? Let's do it now. I teased it enough. Michael Pittman Jr. Now I'm crazy, right? Michael Pittman Jr. Michael Pittman Jr. had a fantastic season last year. The difference is he had a completely different quarterback. And that's because he had the gunslinger himself, not Ryan Fitzpatrick. It's slipping my mind. Can
Matt
somebody help me
Ryan.
out?
Matt
No.
Ryan. What
Who?
was it not?
It was not Matt Ryan. God, I can't think of
Oh.
his name. Hold on. He's your quarterback, Cory.
Oh,
I just
Garner.
can't think of the name.
No.
Gardner Minshew.
Oh
Yes,
my
thank
God.
you.
Yeah.
So he had Gardner Minshew, who actually throws the ball and has success throwing the ball deep. And Pittman lives on that all day, every day. The thing is, we have no idea what Anthony Richardson is going to be like. We also have no idea how accurate this kid can be. Now, he looked good in his 3 games of his pro career, but is he actually going to target Pittman? Is Adonai Mitchell going to step in and take some work from him? Is Jonathan Taylor also going to step in and be more of a dominant presence in that league? Are they going to be more of a rushing team in general between Richardson and Taylor? Who knows? I have a feeling as a whole they're going to step back and and throttle back the amount of times they throw the ball, which means less targets, less receptions, and is going to equal to a down year in fantasy. What he's going for in drafts right now is kind of not good in terms of price, and this is what makes him a bust. He's going off the board at pick 38. You're talking about the end of round 3, beginning of round 4, and the wide receiver 18. So that is what makes him a bust for me. It's not a matter of the talent or anything of the sort. It's the cost. And the cost is too great for me. So I'd rather go and pick somebody else that's going around him and kind of take that bet. Like Jalen Waddle's going after him, DK Metcalf's going after him. Even running backs are going around there. Joe Mixon, Kenneth Walker, Alvin Kamara, even Devontae Smith is right after Alvin Kamara. Like, there is players that are in better situations that can produce, that have more of a less question marks surrounding them than my guy here. So I don't like the situation. I think Pittman's going to bust.
Yeah, totally agree. So I never, let's clarify. So I didn't disagree that Pittman was a bust. I disagreed on which one was a bigger bust to then make the thumbnail out of. So we compromised. We put them both. The only thing I really wanted to hit on is what you were talking about with target share, right? You have a new quarterback. You have no idea what that outcome is going to be. In preseason, did you know favors? Anyone want to guess how many targets he had in the first preseason game?
2.
Lauren?
4.
He had one target in the preseason game. So he's already not getting the share. And I know preseason is whatever, but still, they did not target him in a preseason game. In the first game, I am definitely worried about the return of value in the draft. Just because, like you said, you're paying round 3 price for him. You may not get round 3 return, and you're going to get that out of other receivers at that point. I'd go with that first. Because there's no unknown quantity that you're waiting on for that information, right? You're just waiting for the season to start and figure out what they're actually going to do. There's no injuries. There's no who's going to be my starter. That is already a known quantity. You know the target share is going to be a problem going into this, so draft accordingly. But you don't have to wait on making that decision. And it's not a hope and pray. It's make an educated decision now, or start to work through the draft or work through your season and hope someone gets injured.
Yeah. Now,
I have literally no opinion on this man. I have zero opinion. I've had him on a team before. He didn't do me that much justice. I love his name. If anything, I'll tell you that. It's a great, solid name. But other than that, I have nothing.
He has a strong name. That's what it is.
Man of many pits.
Michael Pittman Jr. I literally wrote old and no one to throw it well. Just sad. That's literally what I wrote.
So, yeah. I mean, it's unfortunate. And I mean, even if, Anthony Richardson gets hurt, you're going to have Joe Flacco, who's 97 years old, throwing him the ball. The situation just gets worse.
Yesterday was his birthday.
Sorry. Oh, happy birthday, Joe Flacco.
I was also making that up.
Yeah, same thing. So was I, the 97 years old.
99.
So yeah. Oh, he just aged again. Oh, can we get 100? Going once? Going twice?
No. It's too far. Too
far? Okay.
That's
sorry. We'll keep you under a century. But anyway, Michael Pittman Jr. going to be a bust for the draft price. But let's keep moving. Let's talk about the guy that Cory thought should be the bust on the thumbnail, and that's Stephon Diggs. Now, here's the thing with Stephon Diggs. I could look at I could break down stats of first half, second half. We all know it pretty much happened, right? Second half of the season, Buffalo started turning away from him. They started going in a different direction of the offense. So they said, "All right, cool. We're just not going to do him. He's throwing a temper tantrum like my 3-year-old, and it just wasn't good." So then they said, "Okay, cool. We believe in you so much. We're going to go pay for you to go play for another team, essentially, and we're going to trade you away for like not much, and then you're going to be the wide three on an offense that has two established rookies with going into second year with their rookie quarterback who have already earned all their trust, and we don't really have a good role carved out for you on the Houston Texans now." And essentially, he's probably going to end up in the slot and have a decent season, but the price is the part that really gets me going here and why he's a bust for me. And it's very simple, right? Like Diggs going at pulling it up, apologize. 40th overall, which is in the fourth round, and the wide receiver 22. So your low end wide receiver two. I don't trust it. I like CJ Stroud, but I really love Nico Collins and I love Tank Dell. I don't see how there's going to be enough to go around for Stephon Diggs. I think you're going to hear, crying and moaning and all this wonderful stuff from him of how he's not getting the ball because he's a locker room terror and Diggs is going to suck this year. Flat out, I think he's going to bust. I think he, finishes about 50 slots lower than his draft price, and that is what we're going to call a bust. So Stephon Diggs, I'm avoiding at all costs.
Yeah, fair point. So my take on it was, obviously I thought he was a bigger bust than Pittman was, so I have to defend that, right? So let's see. So him coming out of Buffalo, they asked Josh Allen how do they feel, or how does he feel that Diggs is gone, and he basically said he doesn't miss him, which doesn't tell you a whole lot of good things, right? And then you look at draft rankings and where has Diggs gone last year relative to this year, and I think they said he dropped 40 spots. And then you say, okay, well, that's great, but then he's going to be on the Texans, and you got a nice trio of was it Diggs, Dell, and Nico all there together, right? Which is great for the team. That's not great fantasy wise because that means you're sharing volume with two other guys that are equally going to be targeted at best, right? You have to assume 33% of all the passing, right? And that's generous. I don't want to split time with any of that. So, I'm out on Stefon Diggs, and I'm not with it. I'd rather find something else.
Rather another option. I would just like to say, Matt, the opinion the opinions that you delve sometimes, I love it. You just go in, you're like, I literally would not trust this man with my firstborn child. Like it's so severe. But no, I agree. I think Stefon Diggs is one of those names that's going to go down in history as a name. And he's done some things obviously in the past, but I think he's overrated, and I think it's just gotten to the point where, in a way, he kind of reminds me of what Odell Beckham is turning into in the NFL, in the sense that like he had his time and he peaked, and it's been some time since then, and it's now just like I'm team hopping until maybe I can get another ring or maybe something, or I don't know. I think it's like we're literally saying it's a bust, it's a flop.
I love the analogy of the comparison of Odell Beckham. That was perfect, actually.
Mhm.
So they're both on the older side. Stephon Diggs being 30 this year, and Odell Beckham being well past his prime. I think that
Yeah.
the journeyman status of just trying to get paid and possibly getting a ring is all on the table for
Mhm.
him. And it's not like they're either one of them are sane and probably will kick inanimate objects and lose. I'm totally bashing on Odell Beckham and that kicker's
Yeah.
net. But anyway, you know, they're both psychos at the end of the day, and not Amon-Ra St. Brown psychos. They're just drama queens. So
Yeah.
at the end of the day, I just like Diggs is on his way. His better days are behind him, and I feel like the price is just well out of reach for me. I think that after week 3, he'll be somebody I'll be saying, "Hey, let's go buy low on now because they're going to be so devastated," and then we can revisit what his potential is. For draft price, it's different than in season. So Diggs is going to have a different mindset and be treated during the season a little bit different than now. So again, I'd rather trade for him than draft him.
Yeah, and I actually pulled up a pretty cool stat. So when he was with the Bills, Allen was throwing to Gabe Davis, Cole Beasley, Kincaid, and Diggs, right? So there's 4 prime candidates right there. His target share was 28% and 29%, which is 10th and 9th amongst receivers in the league. So I think that's probably as good as it's going to get for him. And so if 29%, say 30% is his ceiling there, what do you think that changes to in Houston? Because I don't see it going up from there.
No, probably if I had to take a guess, Nico probably gets about 25 to 27% of the targets. Tank Dell's going to get 20, and they also brought Joe Mixon, who receives the ball. That's another 15%, and then Diggs probably isn't going to get much either because it's going to get spread around between all the other options of Diggs, the tight end, who I can't even think of who the tight end is over there, and whoever else they float in there. So he'll probably end up with like 15%, and that volume is going to be way down.
Yep, I agree. And for that reason, like you're not going to pay that unless you can get him cheap. Like if you can get him cheap, that's a different story. But I think for when we talk about bust, it's return of investment for your draft value, and I don't think the price you're going to pay for him is the price you're going to get back. So I would be out.
Mm-hmm. Well said. All right, and we got this last guy here, and that's Brian Robinson of the Washington Commanders. And this one is a little bit more on just like, okay, which horse are you going to bet on in this offense in terms of the running back room in there, right? And my bet is not on Robinson. He's going off the board. Let me just get the right Robinson because I don't want Bijan Robinson because we all know he's going to be good. Brian Robinson is going off the board at 92nd overall. Obviously, and rightfully so, I think. Well, actually, no, never mind. He's going before Austin Eckler. And I think Austin Eckler hasn't lost anything, if you really think about it. Yeah, he had a bad season, but Herbert was up and down last year. And, you just look at it, he also missed the first couple, missed weeks 2 through 4, and then was pretty okay outside of the team being bad as a whole. He had a bunch of bust weeks, but again, it's not indicative of what he is or who he is. He's 29 years old, going to turn 30, but I still think he's such an elite talent that he's going to be just fine. And, with the receptions that are going to come his way from Jaden Daniels and all that wonderful stuff, I think that he's going to be one that's going to be benefiting the most. Brian Robinson is a great talent. I like him. I've liked him. But the second Austin Eckler has come in there, he's now going to take away from any kind of hopes and prayers that he had for Brian Robinson. He's going to gobble it up. So even if they both do absolutely nothing, which is another possibility, it's because they both have kind of canceled each other out in terms of production and attempts. I think that if anything, if it goes to a 50-50 split with that bad of an offensive line, and they're going to be behind in games a lot, there's not going to be a lot of room for running anyway. So without somebody stepping up as being the predominant lead back, I think that he's also going to flop, and he's not worth being pretty much, where is he being drafted again? 89th overall, and that's like your RB3-ish, a guy that you're hoping for depth that could kind of pop for you. No, thank you.
Yeah, Lauren, what you got?
I'll be honest. My note is literally Commanders again.
Yeah.
I would out of my own intuition and just heart, I stay away from this team through and through. So I feel as though I can't really comment on it. So
yeah, when it comes to Brian Robinson, my notes have he's going to be great next year. Because right now you've got Austin Eckler in there, so you're already bumping him down to RB3 territory. He was not having the best year stat-wise. Let's see, he ranked 12th in broken tackles and 15 in yard per touch. So like he was already not putting up the best numbers, and then you start talking about a crowded backfield and that dreaded running back by committee kind of term, and that's never a good scenario for a running back. That, and then you couple in with a young quarterback who probably won't target the running backs too much in the passing game. He's going to focus on the receivers. I would be heavily concerned with volume there, and that's a very good reason. If you've got Dynasty or something, sure, pick him up for next year. But until that clears out a little bit, I would hesitate greatly on Brian Robinson.
Fair enough.
Awesome.
I mean, that's I think all the guys we have for today. Lauren, I'm gonna hand it back over to you.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for this week. And thank you so much for joining us. And make sure you're following along on all of our social medias. And please sign up on the website. Our social media is at Fantasy Turf War on Instagram, X, Facebook, LinkedIn.
Yeah, all of it.
I believe that is all. I believe literally every platform, YouTube. And then, like Cory said previously, we are on Spotify, Amazon Music, and Apple Podcasts. So please listen on your drive to or home from work or whenever you can. Would be great. So, Matt, where can people find you? And do you want to shout anything out?
You guys can find me at Matthew_on or on X Twitter, whatever we call. I'll stop saying that, but at the same time, I can't. It's just ingrained in me. And then you can find me at Locked On Fantasy Baseball, wherever you podcast for baseball advice. And if you want some football advice, DM me on Instagram at Locked On Fantasy Baseball, and I'll answer all your football questions you got. Ed drops, who should I draft? Who am I prioritizing out? What should I do? I got you. Just DM me.
Cory?
Oh, yeah, so you can find me. I'm on at Fantasy Turf War and all that stuff. At Cory Bassett NC on Twitter. And then I'll add too, like if you think we got something right or wrong, let us know in the comments and call us out, and then we'll rack and stack and compare notes as the season goes. But it's a good dialogue to have. I think there might have been a little bit of a disagreement in the chat, so we'll see. But time will tell, and fantasy football is kind of just luck of the draw sometimes. So it is what it is. But it's been fun, and we've got Division 3's draft coming up this week, so if you want to chime in, it's about an hour and a half is what the two other drafts went for, so it's a good time. There's like 6 of us hanging out in the chat room, so it's all good, but I appreciate it. And Lauren, where can people find you?
People can find me on Instagram. It's my full name, Lauren.Elizabeth.Hill. Take that information as you will with a grain of salt. Thank you. You can find me on LinkedIn, on X. I have a TikTok. I have probably every social media possible. Yeah, just find me, connect, follow, whatever. But be excellent to each other, be kind, and we will see you tomorrow. See ya.
See ya.
Peace.